Right, good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. I see somebody's just posed a question just a few seconds ago just to say that they couldn't hear anything. Hopefully you can all hear me. If you can't, please use the questions box and submit your questions. I shall be presenting this webinar this afternoon with Emily Crumley. She's just informed me that she's actually stuck in traffic on the way into the office, but she'll be with us very shortly. So I will kick off the presentation. I'm going to run it with everybody muted, as there's quite a number of us on the presentation today. If you have any questions, please can you record them in the questions box in the meeting interface. That should be available to all of you. I'll do what I can to try and answer those questions as we go along, and may take a pause at various points during the presentation to address any of the questions that have come up. The presentation today will take somewhere around 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and I will firstly run through a PowerPoint presentation with you, and then I'll show you a little video that was recorded a few weeks ago showing how the spreadsheet processor works in practice. And I'm hoping that most of you on the webinar today are already familiar with the purpose of the online claims platform and are here today because you're particularly interested in learning a little bit more about how the spreadsheet processor, the SSP as we call it, works with the online claims platform. And what I'll be doing is explaining how it works, how it's used, giving some examples, and concentrating on that. That usually takes up about a 5 to 10 minute slot in the whole of the online claims platform presentation. So today we'll be going into it in a bit more detail. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see my screen now. I'm sharing it. If anyone can't, please let me know again via the questions. So what is the spreadsheet processor? The spreadsheet processor is one of the three interfaces that exists for the online claims platform. The online claims platform is used to record the claims that are made by the people who you purchase from within your supply chain. So when you purchase FSC certified material, you use the online claims platform to record the claims that your supplier made. That can be done either using a web interface, using the spreadsheet processor, or using the API, the application programming interface. The spreadsheet processor is the method which we expect a lot of people will use in order to be able to record large numbers of claims. In the web interface, it takes approximately between 20 and 30 seconds or so to record each claim. In the spreadsheet processor, you simply use a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, a personalized spreadsheet specific to your organization, specific to the activity that you're carrying out, in order to be able to record as many claims as you like, and it can record literally tens of thousands. You can consolidate all of those claims into the single spreadsheet, and you can record claims from multiple suppliers and multiple transactions all simultaneously within the spreadsheet. And this can save a huge amount of time when recording claims. So that's what it is. Every single person who is a user of the OCP, the online claims platform, will have access to the SSP. This is available directly from within the web interface of the OCP, and once you've downloaded your template and taken a note of the email Dropbox, you then no longer necessarily have to go in and log into the web interface in order to be able to record claims. You can simply record them in the spreadsheet and email them to the Dropbox. So everybody has access to this. As I mentioned, the spreadsheet is personalized. It comes complete with information about your particular account. There's information at the top of the sheet which says which sort of claim it is that are being recorded. So as I've said before, the default is that you record the claims that your suppliers are making when you purchase things. However, if your customers have given you permission to, some suppliers may like to enter the claims that they are making when they sell product. But the default is that you record your inputs on the way into the business. The claims are entered into the spreadsheet, and then they can be emailed or uploaded to your personal Dropbox inside the online claims platform. The claims put into the spreadsheet are checked against the other party's certificates, and any incorrect claims that are made in that spreadsheet will be returned to the sender in order to be able to correct them. And it could be anything from recording an invalid claim type. So for example, your supplier has sold you something with an FSC 100% claim on it, and you've recorded something completely different, as FSC mixed credit for example, and your supplier isn't allowed to sell that particular type of claim, then that type of thing will be emailed back to you as an error in order for you to be able to correct it and resubmit it. So when you're accessing the spreadsheet from the online claims platform, you do it as if you're going in to record a claim in the normal way. So if you're recording a purchase claim, so the claims that one of your suppliers has made, you go into the online claims platform, click on the Purchases tab, click on the Record Claim sub-tab, and then you have access to Start Bulk Processing, SSP. It's there right at the top of the page for you. And there's a download button or a download link. You click on the download link and the spreadsheet downloads to your computer, and there you can start to populate the spreadsheet with the claims that you wish to record. And this is what it looks like. It contains all the same fields as the online web user interface. So there's a field in which you record the identity of your supplier. And the way in which the online claims platform works is it uses the supplier's identity, the chain of custody code, FMCW code, in order to be able to identify who it is that you're purchasing from. You then enter the transaction identifier, and this is the sales document identity, maybe an invoice ID, which identifies the claim that's being made, the claim date, the claim type, the percentage of the claim if it's appropriate, the species, countries of harvest, product type, description, quantity and units. And you can populate that spreadsheet from any source that you like. However, the first 4 lines of that spreadsheet are reserved lines. They have to exist in the spreadsheet in order for us to be able to understand who it is this particular spreadsheet is coming from and to which account it applies. Okay, other than that, you can put any of your own content into the spreadsheet by extracting it from other applications. Okay. At the top of the spreadsheet, you'll see that it is customized to your own account. It'll tell you who you are, which particular account you're in, and it'll give you your own chain of custody ID, and you can visually inspect that to check you've actually got the right spreadsheet. A number of organizations will have a user that's attached to more than one organization, so it's useful to have that indicator at the top there. The same information must be recorded in the spreadsheet as used in the user interface. I just want to reiterate that. It doesn't ask you for anything more or anything less. I'm just going to run through again in detail about what information is required in each box. So the first is the supplier's certificate. So if you're recording a purchase that a supplier that a supplier sold you, you record in here the identity of the supplier from whom you bought it. You record the identifier of the transaction that's carrying the claim. So it could be an invoice, it could be some other form of sales documentation or delivery note. You record in here the claim date. This is the date on which the claims on that transaction were made. And invoices always carry a date, as do most other official sales documents. If you're consolidating claims, you put in here the consolidation identifier. So it might be that you're consolidating all of the claims for the month of August. So you'd put in there August 2013, and the claim date would be the last date in August that any of those claims were made on. And then you fill out the rest of the form as here. And you can consolidate all claims that are identical, so it's all claims of the same claim type, the same product type, and the same description that come from the same supplier, and then you just total up the quantities. So the claim type field contains the type of claim that's being made by the supplier. So this is things like the FSC 100%, FSC mix, and the percentage column next to it is then populated with the percentage that's used, FSC mix credit, FSC recycled, etc., etc. Okay, these are mandatory fields that have to be filled in. The claim percent is required when you are talking about a claim type that requires a percentage, so FSC mix, for example. And the species and countries of harvest are required when you're purchasing from a FMU or from somebody who has a controlled wood certification. The spreadsheet doesn't know at this point, unlike the user interface, whether or not your supplier does or doesn't have this on their certificate. So you need to understand when you're recording in here whether or not you need to provide species and country of harvest, and you will have to if you're buying from a FM or CW certified supplier. If you fail to fill those in for those types of suppliers, when you submit the spreadsheet, you will get an error back to tell you that those things should have been completed. Okay. Next we have a field called product type. Now product type is an optional field. You don't have to provide this information. It's not information that will appear on your supplier's invoice to you, but if you know it, it's useful to record this information because it will help you produce something called a volume summary report, which you can use to assist you in producing your material account records for your audit. So if you do populate this field, it's important that you populate it with the proper FSC classification. So for example, W1.1 roundwood. If you fail to put the correct one in there, so if you put in something that's not on your supplier's certificate, you'll get a warning to tell you that you have chosen a product type that your supplier was not certified to sell. So the next fields are also mandatory. These are description. This is a description of the product as sold to you by the supplier. It's a description that's meaningful to you, meaningful to the auditor, and hopefully meaningful to the supplier. You put in the quantity and the units. Now I mentioned earlier if you're consolidating claims, so if you're consolidating all of the claims for the period of August, you can total up the quantity and put in just one quantity here, which is the total for all of the claims of that particular type for August. So instead of having to record every single one on a daily basis that's the same, you can just total them up and make one entry in this spreadsheet. So once it's been completed, the spreadsheet might look something like this. Sorry, I should have an example of a completed spreadsheet in here with without any errors on. So having completed it, you then send the spreadsheet off, and the processor looks at the spreadsheet and then goes through it, marks up any errors, and sends it back to you. So this is an example of the type of error sheet that you might get back. So it shows a completed sheet with a number of errors on it. Somebody's included here that they purchased a species banana, and that was an error. It was a species that didn't appear on their supplier's certificate, so it's an incorrect claim that's being made. It also shows an error where a quantity field's been left out. and somebody's put apples in as units. So it's an incorrect unit in there. All of the fields where an error is detected will be highlighted in orange, and hovering over the little orange cell in Excel will provide you more information about the type of error that has been detected in that cell. At the end of each line that has an error, there will be a summary of the errors on that line, so it makes it easy to find it. Now imagine that you've submitted a spreadsheet with 1,000 lines in. You don't get returned to you a spreadsheet with 1,000 lines in it to say 993 of them were entered correctly. You only get back the errors. You then can go in and edit the errors and then resubmit that spreadsheet in order to be able to correct the errors. Okay, so that's information, a run through of the information that's required in order to be able to operate the spreadsheet. There's further information available here. I'll leave this up on screen and I will return to it later so you've got that contact information. So I'm just going to show you a little video of the thing actually in action. It has no sound, so I'm going to talk over it. But before I do that, I'm going to let Emily say hello. Emily has joined us, and you may have some questions which you want to ask, so I'll give everybody an opportunity to do that, and then I will show this video. So I'm just going to give Emily a chance to say hi. Emily. I can see Emily's there, but I don't think she can hear me for some reason. So I'll carry on. If anybody has any questions, please put them into the questions dialogue and we will get to them. So here we see the online claims platform actually in action. What's being done here is we have a test user who's using it, and they're logging on and they're going to actually exercise the OCP, download the spreadsheet, populate it with some data, and then submit it. And we'll see how that all happens. So here we are, Charlotte's logging in. She's into the online claims platform. Automatically get put onto the Purchases tab, as that's probably the tab that most people are going to use. And you click on the Record Claim sub-tab, and you're on the place in the system where you can either download your personalized SSP template or record a claim. So over here we have the little download bit. I hope you can see my mouse wiggling around. So you click on the download. Here we go. Charlotte's a bit slow today. Click download, and the spreadsheet starts to download. Now this works on Excel for most platforms, so it works with the format .xls, so that it works for a Mac as well as for a Windows machine. And this is what the spreadsheet looks like, as I showed you in the presentation. It's customized to your account, so it shows you who you are, what your chain of custody ID is. Up in cells A1 and A2, they are reserved cells. It tells us what the purpose of the spreadsheet is. And this one's actually a purchases one. If you're downloading a sales claim, so you're recording your outputs, it says sales at the top there instead of purchases. And instead of putting your supplier certificate numbers in, you put in your customer certificate numbers. Okay, so now we're going to start populating it. So this is what I didn't have in the slide deck, is a populated spreadsheet. So we can see that there's one single line being put in here. You can use this to record as many lines as you like, as many lines as you need, up to tens of thousands, or you can use it just for a single claim if you want. So here we have Charlotte selecting a whole load of claims, information that's in another system perhaps, and this can be copied from that system and then pasted into the spreadsheet. So she's going to paste a whole load of them in here, and then with a bit of extra pasting you can actually put many thousands or many hundreds or whatever items into the spreadsheet. And I can see she's made a few mistakes there. There's a quantity of 50 sitting there in one of the columns. Otherwise there's a whole load of different invoices in there, and you can then upload these to the system. So she's just scrolling through the sheet there just to show you there's a whole load of them. I see there's a few questions coming in. I'll come to those questions in just a moment. Oh, I think it looks as if Emily's picking up some of the questions as I'm speaking. Thank you, Emily. Okay, so having populated the spreadsheet, you then upload it. So here we go, choosing the file, finding the file that was populated. Here it is. This is operating on a Mac, just to show you it works on a Mac. It works using OpenOffice as long as it's saved in the .xls format. It doesn't work with an OpenOffice native file. You have to save it as the Excel file format, but OpenOffice can save as .xls. So once you've uploaded your spreadsheet, you receive a notification inside the system. So we'll see a little notification pop up in a minute. That little one indicates that something's happened. In the notifications, you click on it. We can see the claims have been processed. And here we can see that 4,215 claims were processed, and 3 of them had errors. And you get provided with a little link to the error sheet, which you can click on. And then you have a look at the error sheet. You can then edit any of the errors that are in there and then resubmit it if you wish to. The whole thing can operate without actually having to log in to OCP, and you can do that by sending it via email instead of uploading it on the web. The email system takes a little bit longer. It doesn't operate quite in real time. So when you submit a claim via email, it might take 10 minutes or so before the system picks it up. But one advantage of email is that if you have a poor internet connection, the email will keep trying to send until it eventually does get through. Okay, so this is an error sheet. You can correct the errors and then resubmit it. Okay. Once you've submitted the claims via the spreadsheet, you can go to the View Claims tab, and here we have the full list of all of the claims that were submitted just now via this spreadsheet. And I can see that here there's 422 different pages worth of claims. Okay, the page size is set quite small so that we can see them all on screen. But this shows the system operating with large numbers of claims in it. Okay, so thank you very much. That is an overview then of how it all works, and I'm sure that some of you will have some questions. I see Emily's been busy answering the ones that have come in, but maybe a few of you have some other questions, and I'll just briefly hand over to Emily to say hello.
Great, thanks, Simon. There was one question that had to do with OpenOffice. I responded to that question. I'm not familiar with OpenOffice, but if that, are you familiar with that, Simon?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, OpenOffice is perfectly capable of being used in this scenario. So if you set up OpenOffice and use it and are familiar with it, you can get it to save in the .xls format. It understands .xls, and the system works fine for OpenOffice. In fact, a number of our developers here use OpenOffice. We've tested it with that as well, so that should be fine. It also works with any other system that's capable of saving in the correct .xls format. At present, the spreadsheet processor uses just the .xls format, which is the slightly older Microsoft standard. It's currently the current versions of Microsoft Office all use .xlsx, but you can save from the really latest versions as .xls as well. The downloaded template is a .xls. We can't yet process .xlsx, which is the latest Microsoft Office format, but we will be able to at some point in the future. But for now, the template comes down as .xls in order to be able to use it on as many different types of systems as possible. Also, a lot of other systems that exist are capable of producing Excel as an output, which is another reason why we chose the .xls format.
Great. Thanks, Simon. Simon probably already mentioned, but we will send this presentation to everybody, plus the recording, if the recording works properly, like it seems to be. And then we will get all the specific questions that you all asked and answer them and send that off to you as a PDF as well. This is the last SSP webinar as part of the series. We have finished the Intro to the OCP webinar series as well. But if any of you are interested in future webinars, just contact me. My email address, you'll have my contact information very soon if you don't have it already. We do plan to set up more webinars, but we're waiting a little bit to see when interest peaks again. But we're, of course, happy to have any, specifically on the SSP or the OCP in general, if any of you or your suppliers or customers or colleagues are interested.
Yeah, indeed, and if anybody's interested, the presentation's online, and the format of the spreadsheets can be seen. You can see the order of the columns that are in there. This is pretty final now. We have a number of companies who are out there piloting this at the moment and checking that it all works as expected. It seems to me at this point that it's probably unlikely that we're going to have to change any of that format, but please treat with caution that format in case you go away to design something. The column order or something like that could change slightly before we finally go live with it in a few weeks' time.
Yep. Great. Well, we will hang out for a few more minutes here in case anybody else has questions, but I don't see any others popping up. So if you are if you're through with your questions, feel free to leave the webinar. If you do come up with any other questions later on, you'll have our contact information so you can email us. But thank you very much for your interest in the OCP and for specifically for listening to this SSP webinar.
Great, thank you very much. As Emily said, we'll keep this open just for a few more minutes in case anybody thinks of something. There's still quite a number of attendees still connected. Okay, it doesn't look like we're going to have anything else coming in now. So I'd like to wish you all a very good rest of the day. And as Emily mentioned, we'll get the questions bundled up and the audio bundled up and be available for you via the website shortly. Thanks very much.